Hello everyone. India is a country that is beyond a lifestyle epidemic today. We spend millions and billions of dollars on people's taking care of people's lifestyle diseases. In fact, in India itself, we spend about 307 billion US dollars on lifestyle diseases, and almost about 40% of our people are battling with some sort of lifestyle disease or even heart disease. India is the country's #1 diabetes capital. It's time we change that. Greetings, this is Preeti Rao, founder and CEO of Wellg, and I'm also the ICH-WC Mentor Coach for India. Things are changing, and I think if you are somebody who's passionate about changing somebody's life with improved health and well-being, you're somebody who's been thinking about this for a very long time, you're somebody who's enthusiastic about fitness, you're somebody who's enthusiastic about wellness, you're somebody who's been helping people exercise, you're somebody who's a nurse, a doctor, alternative medicine practitioner, psychologist, physiotherapist, nutritionist, dietitianist, sports coaches, even a young mom who's been nurturing other people for a long period of time and thinks now is the time to make a difference in people's life. And if this has a deeper meaning and a resonance for you in your life, it's time you embrace health and wellness coaching, because this allows you to do just that. Before we dive into what really is health and wellness coaching, what is the future of health and wellness coaching, let me just quickly share my own personal journey. You know, I started off as the Reebok Fitness Brand Ambassador India when I was barely 16 years old. And when I did that and I saw people's lifestyles, people's lives got improved and their quality of life got better, there was a greater level of satisfaction in my life. And fast forward, it took me another 20 years, you know, to actually go ahead and put together a model that actually works. In fact, when I did my yoga certification from Shivananda School of Yoga in Kerala, and I was asking very profound questions at the tender age of 21. I was asking questions like, who am I? What's my purpose in my life? मेरे life में वजूद क्या है? मैं किस लिए पैदा हुई हूँ? These are very strong questions for a young 21-year-old to answer, or even to seek answers for those questions. And I remember the time that I spent there, this realization dawned on me that I wanted to be a part of a life that was transforming other people's life with better health and well-being. But it took me another 20 years, like I said, to actually go ahead and implement it. Call it circumstances. Maybe I didn't have the courage to follow my dream. Maybe there were other people in my life who did not think this was an opportunity to be pursued. You know, there were several other factors, and I have nobody to blame but except myself. But life has taken a full circle for me, and today I live the best life I can possibly think of. You know, I am in a profession that is greatly satisfying. I run an organization that is transforming people's life, and I am surrounded by people who want to do the same thing. What better way to live a life? And I've invited love and meaning and a greater quality of well-being in my own life, and as I've tried to affect other people's lives, you know. So prior to my starting Wellg, I actually worked not in the health and wellness industry for some period of time. I actually worked in a technology company. As I worked in technology company, believe it or not, I actually sold business intelligence tools, something that I was really not qualified to do. I still did reasonably well. When I left that profession, I was a major account director, but when I was doing that work, I did not enjoy it. It did not, there was some sense of emptiness in my life. There was some sense of vacuum, something in my heart that kept saying, you know what, this doesn't feel right. Something's missing in my life. I'm not living my fullest potential. And that calling at one point of time in my life became so strong that I had to make a decision. And only in my 30s, I decided to go ahead and quit everything. You know, I lived in the Washington, D.C. area. I quit everything. I packed all my bags, sold all my furniture, sold everything that a prized possession that I owned, and I just moved into a small little studio in California. And that's where I did my master's in integrative health with specialization in health and wellness coaching. And as I embraced the program and I started working on myself from all these dimensions, the physical dimension, emotional dimension, mental dimension, my own spirituality, you know, my own physical well-being, my mental well-being, how do I manage my relationships? When all of these things started shifting in my life, and you know, within the class cohort, we'll end up coaching each other. And when we were coaching each other and we saw each other's lives change, it brought on a renewed level of confidence in this kind of work. Following after my master's, I actually ended up working with some of the leading integrative medicine centers such as UCSF Center for Integrative Medicine in California, worked in Charlotte Maxwell Center for Cancer, and this is where, you know, I had the opportunity to work with underprivileged women and children who were battling with cancer. And through this lifestyle intervention, through the medium of health and wellness coaching, when the quality of life was improved, they were more ready to go for treatments. There was greater level of acceptance of what had happened in their life. They had more courage. They were able to surround themselves with support and ecosystem, so they could actually go through that treatment. And their quality of life improved, and there was more compliance in terms of medication. And it was very, very gratifying for me. It was very, very satisfying for me to see that. Followed thereafter, I actually went with Aetna, which is one of the largest insurance companies in the world. I would bless them for taking this initiative. I worked with Aetna, and this is where we created health and wellness coaching programs for underserved population in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And you know, when I had this opportunity to coach this segment of society, I found it very, very challenging. It was a segment of society that was complete devoid of resources, financial, economic. They didn't have the kind of ecosystem that maybe most of us enjoy. They were deprived in everywhere. Even finding healthy food or nutrition was difficult. So working with that segment of population, when you see their lives unfold and take into a new chapter, absolutely a new chapter, and you see this person who is maybe depressed or under the doldrums and come out of this emerging as a beautiful, powerful, independent persona, you just want to do this more and more and more. You know, nothing in this world would want to stop doing that, will stop you from doing that. I also landed up working with Gurdenston Institute, and also when I finished all of that work, I kept thinking, you know, I want to go back to India. This is where my roots are. I know lifestyle diseases is an epidemic in India. People are battling with this day in and day out. I knew that healthcare in India needs to change. It's time. We need that change, and it has to happen now. And this feeling that sat in my belly so strong, and it was so powerful, that I had to then again move again all over. I decided to pack my bags and move from California to New Delhi. And I started first of all, like most of you might start off as a practitioner, as a health and wellness coach practitioner. And I started working with people one-to-one, meeting clients. They were industrialists, they were celebrities, but they were regular people, they were mothers. There were young women and children that I had the opportunity to work with. And I want to just talk about two stories that have been very powerful for me in my coaching practice. One of them was a gentleman who, you know, who actually thought he was sick. You know, he had confined himself in a box in his bedroom. He had stopped going out. He was depressed, and this was not clinical depression. He was depressed because of his sickness. His relationship with his wife was not at an all-time high. He was battling with diabetes and constipation. In fact, this was a story that you would resonate Pico with. You know, Amitabh Bachchan's story, when Amitabh Bachchan was chronically constipated, and he was so obsessed about it, he used to constantly think about it. So this gentleman was chronically constipated and wouldn't be able to go for weeks at end. You know, he had diabetes, he was overweight, he has thyroid. So name anything that you could conjure in a lifestyle disease. This case was all about it, and most doctors had raised their hands and they said, you know what, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with this man, and how do we really help him? And as I began to work with him, And guess what? I didn't even do this in person. This was all telephonically, and this was all through this beautiful technology medium that we have through Skypes. In fact, I think this particular case, I didn't even go online. This was all telephonic, right? Through telephonic coaching for 45 days, this guy's diabetes counts went down, hypertension counts went down, thyroid got better, his depression was down. He started actually moving out of his room, and he started playing with his grandchild. He had a beautiful granddaughter. He started venturing out of his house and started mingling with people. One day he called me up and said, Preeti, can you believe it? I'm actually going out and I'm going to be a part of my college reunion. And that is a big milestone. 45 days, and his life was beginning to change. And I sat with that, and I felt blessed to be able to do this work. Then thereafter, I landed up working with somebody who was abused. It's interesting to see how health and wellness coaching has worked in that environment. This woman was physically abused, was a rape victim, and I might just get emotional while talking about it, because in health and wellness coaching, as we're coaching clients, we never ask them how it happened, especially in this case, why it happened, who did that to them. We actually work with them hand in hand to create a vision for the future. And how can we create that vision unless we don't understand all aspects of their life? She actually initially came to me for weight loss and improving self-confidence. And as she came into the coaching practice, and we started working on each and every dimension and created a self-directive roadmap that she actually created for herself. I only facilitated her. She was the power of her. She had that power to create her own destiny. Coming forward from there, she was able to co-create, we together created a roadmap for her, which was her vision of the life she wanted to live coming out of this. She had enough courage thereafter to go ahead and fight this battle in court. You know how Indian court systems are when it's about this. She had, and I applaud her for doing that. And she did that. And her lifestyle got better, her eating habits got better, her stress levels got down. She started embracing herself, she started embracing her body. Wow, that was powerful. And as a practitioner, as I was working with one-on-one clients, I realized, oh my God, this is a journey I can't do myself. I really cannot make this transformation happen. I may be able to touch 1, 2, 10 or 100 people's life, but there are millions out there that need your help. There are millions out there that need an intervention, and people like you who are passionate about transforming people's life can make the difference, and you can make that happen one person at a time and change the ecosystem. I believe the next 3 to 5 years, the healthcare system in India is going to see a paradigm shift, a huge paradigm shift. And we can already see industry talking about how do we address lifestyle diseases, with such a huge population battling with that. And as from this came out the Welchie story, and the name of the company is Wellness Jiva. Life of Wellness. Our tagline is My Health, I Care. So we're really helping people take accountability for their health, and that's where the power lies. We know certain habits are bad for us, right? We know eating at odd hours is bad, taking stress is bad. We know smoking or alcohol consumption is bad. We know we don't move enough, we know all of that. Then why do we still continue doing that? Sometimes there might be obstacles beyond ourselves. Sometimes we not have support. Sometimes we just don't know how to do it, how to go about it. This is where partnering with a health and wellness coach can really help transform people's lives. And this is where, and India, at this particular point of time, the healthcare system in India is appalling, because right now when we talk about prevention, it is at a nascent stage. It's really almost something that's just been conceived. It still needs to be given birth to. And what are we going to give birth to? We should give birth to a model that helps people make lifestyle, behavioral changes that will help them battle with diabetes and hypertension and better cardiovascular health, stress and obesity. These are areas that health and wellness coaches you can help with. Can you believe today 8 out of 10 or almost 80% of hospital visits by a patient or by a client are stemming out of poor lifestyle choices people make? 75% or 85% of people who go to a hospital have some greater level of stress. That is appalling. And our hospital systems, our healthcare system is not tuned to address a person from a whole person perspective. What I mean by a whole person perspective is looking at all these dimensions of somebody's well-being: physical, emotional, social, mental, occupational, spiritual, love, recreational, environmental factors. These are all factors that affect our well-being, but do we really address that? When we're having a one-on-one conversation with our client or patient, do we dive into what has led them to where they are today? Do we dive into what are their motivations? Do we dive into helping them overcoming obstacles that is coming in their way of achieving their vision of life? We don't. And that's why healthcare needs to change. And it's time now. And I can see these ripples. I can see these ripples of change happening in our society. The healthcare sector and the allied healthcare sector is waking up today. And I have these conversations every single day, whether it's an individual, whether it's an industry, whether it's an association. I'm talking about it day in and day out, because this has meaning for me, and I know this has meaning for you. So if it does, this is the time to be a part of this revolution that is going to change people's lives. And to change people's lives, it's not something that happens on a snap of a button. It doesn't. This whole concept of just giving somebody a prescription or giving a diet chart and expecting them to follow through, giving them an exercise plan and expecting them to follow through, if this was going to happen, all of us or our clients or people that we know around us would have been able to resolve their issues. The reason why they're not able to, because they need hand-holding, they need support. And to change a lifestyle and behavior, it takes a minimum of 60-90 days. Can you believe that? It takes at least 60 to 90 days to make some sort of change in somebody's behavior. Create some shift. Renew their perspective of thinking. Renew their mindset. Create a shift that start moving towards making these changes. It doesn't happen overnight, right? Because there are people who've been living this kind of life for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. They've lived that kind of life. How can we expect them to change overnight? And we cannot pressurize them to do so. We have to do it in a manner that is compassionate, that has profound level of empathy, that is non-judgmental. Who are we to judge somebody else's journey? As health and wellness coaches, we cannot judge somebody else's journey. We have to embrace them with our open arms, with a non-judgmental environment, help them to overcome obstacles that they may be facing. It takes about 60 to 90 days for create some sort of a lifestyle shift, and to convert that into a sustainable change, it takes about a year, right? This is by the time 1 year has happened, it becomes an integral part of their psyche. They start living that kind of life. It takes that much time. Therefore, we need support. Let's talk about what's happening. If you're thinking about, you're still tuned in, let me quickly talk about the opportunities in this space. There are immense opportunities in this space for you to embrace. This time is right now, because the industry is waking and you can make a difference right now. There are healthcare hospitals, wellness centers, health apps who are all looking at wanting to employ health and wellness coaches, but they can't find you. because you're not skilled. You don't have all the skill sets that are needed to coach people. That is where the Health and Wellg Institute came out of. Health and wellness coaching is the fastest growing profession in the healthcare sector. It's growing at the rate of 31%. Can you point out any other industry in the healthcare sector that is growing at that rate? No, we can't. Because people need us. And the industry is waking up. The medical fraternity is waking up. The medical establishment is waking up. Wellness centers, apps, health startups are all looking at you to become a part of this revolution, because they want to go ahead and implement these ideas, but they can't find you. So our program is an award-winning health and wellness coaching certification program from the same university that I passed out from, California Institute of Integral Studies. It's an ICHWC pre-approved program, making this a global certification. Meaning that if should you not want to work in India, you can actually use this certification anywhere else in the world. Should you move out of India, you'll be able to use this certification. This certification program has renowned faculties like Dr. Meg Jordan and Linda Bach. Oh my God, these women themselves are so powerful and yet such great human beings. If you've been part of an alumni, you've had the opportunity to meet Meg Jordan. If you've met her, you know she's the mother hen. She will nurture you. She will carry you forward in the program, and she will pass on her love and her knowledge. She is the ICHWC approved, ICHWC board member. She has over 20 years of coaching and training health and wellness coaches internationally. She's the program chair of California Institute of Integral Studies. She's worked with Deepak Chopra. She's a medical anthropologist, and she has a bestseller book under her wing. Dr. Linda Bach is the executive chairperson of ICHWC. She's coming to India in August to teach the curriculum. August 7th is when our next batch starts. Come and join us in that movement, because Linda Bach is somebody who brought holistic nursing in America. She is somebody who has been training coaches for 25 years. She runs her own coaching academy. She also has a bestseller book. She's traveled to China and the Far East spreading this message. So she comes to India to teach the program along with me. What do you really study in the program? It's a 75-hour intensive curriculum that covers the neuroscience of health and wellness coaching. It covers offering health and wellness coaching from a whole person perspective, something that I've talked about. The physical, emotional, social, spiritual, mental, occupational well-being. It covers the latest research in this research that's done in that space. It teaches you how to coach with people with lifestyle disease. It covers the top of the surface. Obviously, you need to do deeper certification, more certifications with us to advance that knowledge. The curriculum also teaches you the healthy lifestyle, integrative nutrition, exercise physiology, stress management, but we're also looking at nutrition from the integrative mindset, from the mind, body, spirit, and also talking about nutrition in terms of how we can change people's behavior when it comes to cultivating healthy habits. Exercise, there's a huge segment of population that doesn't even move. So how do we help them to find intrinsic motivation to bring movement in their life? Stress, really, what is stress? It's our perception, how we think about stress. And how we think about stress affects our actions, and our actions affect our life and our relationships around it. So how do we help people change their perception of stress? And thereafter, you're going to be in the program, you're going to cover business of coaching, where we're going to help you create your unique model of health and wellness coaching, a business model that you will go ahead and implement once you've done that. How powerful is that? Each one of you creates a unique model that you're going to go out and spread in the world, followed by a case study in the program that you have to do by coaching a client for 4 to 6 weeks and really demonstrating the methodology that you've learned in the class. In the classroom, you're going to be divided into triads and groups where you will be coaching each other, and you're going to have such great experiential activities. And believe me, every batch that's been here with us has transformed their lives at some level and is getting ready to transform. It's already out there and is getting ready to transform and affect many people's life. So this is what the curriculum is all about. Let me share some interesting statistics before we close. Do we know that 74% of the population in the Asia Pacific is concerned about gaining weight? It's constantly obsessing about it, constantly thinking about it. They go through all these diet programs, and it's a vicious cycle. They come in and they go out, they lose weight, they gain weight, and they lose self-confidence, and it's very few people end up being successful. That's probably because they don't have a health coach along with that. 50% of the population exercises less than 1 week. Can you believe that? 67 thrive to live a healthy, active life, and you can help them. 66% would like to encourage to stay active if they were part of that, if this was part of the company culture. 50 corporate wellness needs to embrace health and wellness coaching. That's already beginning to happen as we have been doing workshops within the corporates. 54% find it difficult to stay active during a working day. Can you believe 54% don't have enough energy to be active throughout the day, and by the time they go home they're exhausted. They don't have time for family, they don't have time for recreation or play. 50% of the population, can imagine India's size, 50% of the urban population is concerned about high stress levels. And 53% are constantly talking about not having enough energy. These are appalling figures. And you, my friend, you can change this by helping people. If this live seminar, this live feed has had some meaning and some shift in your life, come join us in the Belgi movement. Call us at 8800885482. Once again, our number is 8800885482. Or visit us at www.welgi.com, WELJII.com, and there are program assistants and executives here who are willing to help you to understand the curriculum, and feel free to tell them that you want to speak to me personally. I have had the opportunity to speak one-on-one with every one of our students because it has a deeper meaning for me. Come, join us, join this movement. Let's change this ecosystem of healthcare. Let's fight this battle of lifestyle diseases, and we are here to help you. Take care of yourself. I sign off, and I hope to see you at Belgi Institute or in our programs in the future. Take care. Bye-bye now.